warned last time. I put the minutes from June 2nd on as well, because technically we weren't able to approve them. So we could do it this time. This meeting was properly warned. As far as I know, I did hear back from Meg and Jen. Lori's on vacation, but so well, let's go back. We skipped public comment. Any public comment? Public?
Just for the record, meeting was called to order at 9:03 since I didn't have it recording.
Thank you, Mark. No public comment, no changes to the agenda. So the next thing is to review and approve minutes. We have June 2nd and June 13th.
I'll move that we approve June 2nd and June 13th minutes.
Thank you, Mark. And do we have a second? Is that Derek? Did you say I second that?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. Derek seconds. Any discussion? Any changes, edits? No? All right. All in favor of approving those minutes from June 2nd, June 13th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. The minutes are approved. Do we have any correspondence that anybody wants to bring to us? No? All right. Then we jump right into old business, which these are in no particular order. So if anybody would like to do any of those 5 items first, I'm glad to entertain that. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, let's go to the proofs.
Proofs. Let's hit it.
Let's get through those before.
All right. Did they send us stuff, Mark?
Yeah, there's a link in an email from, let me pull it up really quickly. Matt, you sent it out.
I sent
June.
it.
You sent it out June 3rd at June 3rd at 3:58 p.m.
Okay, so that's the original one we were working with last time as well.
Yeah, they haven't sent us anything new since we met last.
Got it. That's what I was wondering, if they had given us any updates on any of the color palette, or if they picked a 6th color that wasn't the same as the first.
Nope, I sent them, although it was a few days late, I sent them an email with all the notes from our last meeting, including that I was hoping to have a one-on-one with Cynthia to finish up the palette. But I haven't heard back on that.
Okay, so we don't really have any updated proofs yet since last week.
No, but we didn't go through them last time.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do it then. So the link came on June 3rd. And I'm trying to find I see the June 3rd, but I don't see the one that had all their attachments.
It's not an attachment, it's just a link.
Oh, right.
I can forward it.
Where the heck is that? I don't see it in that string.
I have a link, but I can't post it to chat. I can only send it to direct message to Mark.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Send it to me and I can post it to chat. I think.
I know we had this too, and there's too many strings.
It's RVUSD website version 2, right?
Let me get back to it. Yes. So it should be in the chat now.
Was the subject new proofs? Okay.
It was.
And we're looking at the link for the latest page designs. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, I got it. I'm sorry it took me so long. I should have put those links right in the agenda. All right. So we have a list of, it looks like about 25, 26 attachments.
So they would like any comments we have in this document or on the Adobe website.
Okay.
But in going through it, I had just kind of one general one, which is I wonder whether in the drop-down boxes, which start at slide number 7, whether we want them to be a little bit bigger and the text a little bit bigger.
It's awfully, I have a hard time like telling scale from the proofs, because it's, it looks different depending on your resolution sometimes, but in terms of proportion, it looks like it's a little smaller. Probably it's the same size font. It's just that the headlines are all caps, right?
It could be just like the letter spacing itself.
Yeah, it just seems like somebody that may be a little deficient in vision might have a hard time reading the small text.
And I don't know, do you know if that is an accessibility feature that somebody can set in their browser? I think you can.
There is.
Yeah. So if that's the
I
case,
don't, yeah, I don't know what aspects of the site, I don't know. It can't, it has to recognize that it's text in order to be able to increase the size of the font. And not everything is going to be recognized at text depending on what type of container it's
in order for the browser to do that.
Right.
Right. Okay. Well, should we make a note then, at least to bring up the question with those guys and say, hey, we're a little concerned about the font size. What do you think? Is there a way to generally bring it up a point or two just to see what that looks like?
I think so.
You guys good with that?
I just
Should that comment be made in the Adobe doc though? If they're asking for comments in Adobe, should that be made there?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Make a
Probably,
comment.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
On the right-hand side, there's a column.
Make a comment.
Does it make comment at the top?
Would you like me to type something in?
I just noticed in the top right where it says sign in to the left of that, there's mine was set at 73.5% the zoom. So if you put it to 100, I might actually be more real world, I guess.
Oh, I noticed.
Oh,
that.
interesting. Mine was set to 49.
Mine was 53.
Well, it's a good question to ask.
Yeah. So how would you like to word that? We're wondering about the font size. Seems a little small on our screen. Is that just the presentation through the Adobe
Yeah.
thing? Okay.
And Tammy, if you can put that in regular minutes also. I
Sure.
think we should record it. And then the only other comment I had, again, on those drop-down pages, I'm assuming it's just because these are graphics and not an actual website design, that the highlight of whatever the drop-down is around the like about RVUSD or whatever, looks like it's a separate box, which it probably is, being a graphic.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I was actually thinking, they added that. We asked them to highlight that about when you do the pull down. And I was actually thinking that I like the way it flows in with the other box. It really, for me, it visually brings that whole menu, including the title and the list, to the fore, which I like.
I agree.
So what would you like a comment on this, Mark? Would you leave a comment for them? Like an integration? Were you thinking of somehow better integrating that top outline with the bottom?
I think it's just worth asking whether they appear as two separate boxes just because of the because it's a proof rather than the
live thing,
actual website. Yeah.
Do you want to frame that question in the comment area?
Yep.
Go for it. Did you guys notice at the bottom of the screen, there's a 7 of 26, so you can go back and forth between the proofs right within this Adobe platform. It's kind of handy.
Yes.
Haha, those little kids. I can't believe that little kid right there graduated this year in the red shirt. I kind of like the way the palette is working out. Tammy, are you happy with the maroon?
It looks better than it did. It looks a little bit more accurate. It was too orangey before.
Yeah, I almost am thinking I'd like to see it a little tiny bit darker, but I don't remember what the palette color is. It looks lighter than the palette color to me. Does anybody else think that, or is that just my weird eyes?
I'm not a good person to
Yeah,
judge.
Let me try to compare it. So I guess it depends on if they're going with the true color palette or is it Triton? T-R-I-T?
It's the true. It's the true is the actual color palette. Then the three other ones are the way that those people with those color types of color blindness would see the true.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mark. That wasn't clear to me in the beginning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So
Oh,
It
Matt,
does-
I don't have an Adobe account and it won't let me comment without it.
you can go as guest. It'll,
You-
one of the options is be a guest. You can just type your name in there.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Matt, at this scale, it's hard to tell the
Yeah.
trueness of the color for me. I can't really determine whether it's, on or not.
Do you have any graphics that have the color? No. Is it anywhere on your website?
Yeah, but it's not true necessarily. I mean, this
True.
is really, we're really launching all of this, Mark, for the first time.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you feel about it then?
I think it looks good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just popped a note in there that to my eyes, the background of the menu looks a little lighter than the paw. And it could be, it could just be the illusion of so much white background makes a color look different. So I'll just do the question in there. Are those the same? Because I like the darker, what appears to me to be the slightly darker maroon background of the paw.
I agree.
So maybe she can, Ed and Cynthia can help us feel better about that. I just see those pictures of the kids and I laugh. That's awesome. All right.
So I don't know if anybody else didn't notice, but I didn't the first time I went through that the last few pages are full pages that you can scroll all the way down on.
Oh yeah, and especially if you reduce your zoom a little bit,
Yeah.
you can see more of them too. Ah. I don't know, I have to say, I keep looking back at that River Valley's logo that they made, the really simple one that looks like somebody running or maybe a mountain and a river and a sun. And there's something simple that I like about it. I can't explain it.
I agree.
But
Yeah, I like that one too.
Katie is working on one. She and I talked a little bit yesterday.
So in the footer, should take out the links to the various social media.
Okay, you want me to make that comment, Mark?
I can do it. Sorry.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
go for it.
Um,
Right, because we're not going to link directly. We just decided we would link on a link to a school club page, not like a general Facebook link or something.
right, and those would and the ones in the footer would be the River Valleys pages, which we don't have.
Don't exist, right?
Yeah.
They might, and maybe we would, maybe that would be needed someday, but not today.
I think that's a whole other discussion on whether or not we want to maintain those and then link to them.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to see, to be able to scroll down. I think the calendar looks nice and clean. I like that. Of course, I like to see the photos of the kids. That I think really, is very nice. I just keep going back to that little first grader there with the red shirt and that grin because holy cow, how much they've changed.
Connect with us at the bottom. Are we doing like a newsletter or something where they subscribe to? I mean, who's gonna like take care of that?
Good question. That would be like where they could sign up for some automatic thing. I wonder if we could do that with, say, automatic board warnings. Like, is there some functionality we could put in where if somebody signed up, that they would receive the board meeting notification information automatically, like a subscription?
I think that would be really good idea.
Cool. Should I add that in the chat as well?
Yeah, and I'd love, and I mean, any email sign up form has the ability to have options. So maybe we have a checkbox for agendas, a checkbox for minutes, and a checkbox for other documents or something, just so people only get what they want. And then we'll have to ask them whether they can set that up for us.
All right, I'm going to put that note in, Mark.
Okay.
Nice. Do you see how this, I like this Adobe thing. It's
I
putting
love
all
it.
the notes in the margin on the
Yeah.
right, but it's tagging it with the name of the page that you're on when you type the comment.
That's good.
That is smart. Cool. All right. So I just said regarding the Connect with Us, is there a way people can sign up to receive meeting warnings, maybe an option to get agendas, minutes, or other documents?
Sounds good. Do for the calendar, do we want it to display more than a week?
We usually display a month. How about you, Tam?
Yeah. Usually.
Although a month does take a lot of real estate. Is there a way to display a week with a scroll?
I don't know. I mean, beyond what they have, which is, you hit the button to go.
Yeah, next week, last week.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a view full calendar. Do you see that?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that's just fine. We also usually have like a printable PDF of the school year calendar that we put out there. So people can print one and put it on their fridge.
Yeah, I think
That's somewhere, isn't it? I feel like I've seen that.
I was scrolling through the site navigation structure. I think I saw that in there.
Yeah. It's definitely in there. So I'm sure it's on the current site. So they probably just put it on there. I'm excited
Yeah.
about this. I think it looks nice. I like these proofs.
It's under it's a level 1, I think, under district. It will be RVUSD calendar linked PDF.
Okay. Cool.
And we only have one calendar, right? Each school doesn't have a different.
Correct.
They're separate.
Yeah.
They are separate.
Yeah.
Well, they're separate, but we follow the same dates, right, Tim?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
But we post them separately. Like Wordsworth has its own, right? I mean,
For the annual, like, don't we post a WCSU one?
yes.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. We used to make our own and take the WCSU off and put on Dover school calendar because we had some different dates. But in the last couple of years, I've just been posting the WCSU because we've been using that.
So that's different than the Google calendar, which is obviously different for the two schools.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the one I was referring to, Mark. Sorry.
Oh,
It's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, of course, yeah.
I figured that once you started saying it.
Cool. Any other comments about the proofs? It's 9:24.
Taking a look at the for families page, the dashboard,
What's the number on that one?
Yeah.
22.
22. Got it.
I think it looks nice, that one. I like that page, the whole layout of it.
You like the, oh yeah, I like that too. You like the file cabinets?
Well, not so much that picture, but when you get down below into
Yeah.
like this, the categories and stuff, how they have it all broken down for you.
Yeah, I like the documents, you know, we can put the handbook in there and stuff. She got the pull down. And the calendar shows again. I think it's nice having the calendar in multiple places just because, you know, you don't have to go hunting for it as much.
Are there, I know currently there are different, the two schools have some different forms and documents. Is it possible for us to develop just RVUSD forms for everything?
I think we just use the WCSU registration forms. So I don't know, do you use a different one, Tam?
No,
Yeah, so we do use just the same one.
What about for like field trip permissions?
Oh, I bet those are different.
yeah, and those change depending upon the field trip too, so they have to give permission to go to a certain place.
Yeah, we send those home because we have to send the information home about where the kids are going every time, and then the parent's signature needs to be on that paper. So we have kind of a blank one that we fill out as part of the process. So we fill it out and get it ready. Once it's approved by the administration, it goes home for the parents, so they get the information and the ability to sign on or off. And then they return it and we keep them until the date of the trip.
So maybe that was a bad example.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying. We have
Yeah.
a different form though. Probably Tammy's form doesn't look exactly like ours.
Well, no, I mean, well, to me, that those, even those forms should be the same. We're one district. But I'm thinking about all these forms that would be documents we'd be listing for the families. That anything that we're going to be providing on the website, let's just provide one of it for the district rather than, having to each of you having to manage your own forms.
Yes, I love the idea. And I don't know how many district level forms there will be besides enrollment. But I think, Tammy, when we're working on forms, we can easily say, hey, this is what we use. You say this is what we use, and pick one of them and reduce the number of things that we're regenerating for sure.
Yeah, I think we should task Lori and Jen with that maybe.
That is a wonderful idea.
Excellent idea.
Maybe in the fall, that's something they can start beating up on.
So I guess one comment on this page, that the for families page, one more comment. Under handbooks, we just have to make sure that they, because your handbooks are different.
Yes.
And I think I don't think that that's something that could be too easily merged. So we just want to make sure that since this is on the RVUSD page, that it doesn't just say handbook, but that it's very clear which building it belongs to.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, like, it might make sense for us to not have too much school specific items on the RVUSD page at all, just for that reason. Maybe if it is handbooks, there's a link to, if you want to put a handbook link on the RVUSD page, it's just a link out to the school page where the document lives. Just from an organizational structure, I don't think we want too much individual school info on the RVUSD. Is that true with you guys? Do you agree with that?
Yeah. So I'm actually thinking that this for families page should probably, well, I don't know. I mean, if people are moving to the area and they want to be able to see, something about all the schools, there does need to be something on the RVUSD page. My original thought was the for families link would give you an option of which which school. But I'm actually thinking that we probably want a little more than that.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of having the for families page, maybe have, 3 sections, something that is district based and then one for each school.
That works for me.
And then your enrollment documents, anything that's common lives on the district page, and anything that's really school specific lives on the school page.
Want to make note of that, Matt?
Sure. At some point, Cynthia asked us about the organizational structure spreadsheet that she sent out. Would this be better off there, or should I put it in the margin here?
Probably easiest just put it in the margin there. And anything that Tammy puts on the minutes, I'll be sending them anyway. So
Okay.
Yeah, I've noted it as an edge work.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Item.
That made it so much easier when I went to
Good.
send them that email. So I really appreciate that.
All right. I think I got this. All right. Check it out. See if that articulates what we're talking about. You can also edit your comment, which is nice, unlike Twitter, right? Or can you now? I know that was up in the air a couple weeks ago.
I stopped following that saga when Musk said he was buying it.
Oh my gosh. Twitter. All right. I think I got 9:31. Anybody in the waiting room?
Nope. Oh, yep. Just popped in. Just popped in. I'll go ahead and admit them.
Morning, Cynthia. Nice seeing your wife the other day, Derek. I hadn't seen her in a while.
Yeah, she said she had a nice meeting with you.
She's hysterical. My gosh, she really should be a stand-up comic.
Oh, she's about, yeah.
This makes everybody laugh.
Matt, what kind of 3D printer do you guys have?
We have a, what is that one, Derek? It's a MakerBot. It's a small MakerBot,
It's pretty.
one of the early ones, probably 10 years old or more.
That's getting up there in age.
Yeah. And it's about maybe like a 5-inch build plate or so, 4 or 5 inch. So you can really only build small, really small things. And then the resolution isn't really that great to build small things. So it's,
It takes forever.
What's the conversion from inches to millimeters?
Let's see, is it 12 millimeters is a half an inch, 12.5 millimeters is a half an inch, I think.
0.5, so it's only about a 60 millimeter build plate. That's really small.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Would you say, Derek? You've seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Yeah. And I think the resolution is, I want to say 100. Does that sound right? It was one of the early ones.
Been a couple of years since I turned it on.
Yeah, it hasn't been on in a couple of years. It's super fun to watch, but it's really just theoretical. You can't really do too much. Although I have an idea that I want to build on it. I want to build a little lazy Susan for my laptop. So when I'm in a Zoom meeting, I can just rotate the laptop easily. You know what I'm talking about?
You can buy one on Amazon for $7.99.
That's not as cool.
Hey,
I know,
it might be, the
listen,
2-day
I-
shipping will arrive before you actually done printing it.
Yeah,
That's right.
I get it. I've got eight 3D printers and building another one. So
Oh my gosh. The build kits are awesome, I have to say. We did a little research on them, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and even then they were cool. How you doing, guys? Can you hear us?
they can hear us. We can't hear them.
Can you hear us? Because we can't hear you yet. Ah, okay. Eh? Looks like you might be on mute still. No?
I can't even ask them to unmute. The button's not working.
Oh, that's weird.
Did they call in?
Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, they called in. They gotta do like that weird whatever star something to unmute. Is that what it is?
It's oh, it's not on this agenda. It's *6, I think.
We are. Oh, I wonder why. Oh, there you go. You unmuted.
There you go.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So Cindy got a new computer, and for some reason we cannot get the audio to the microphone to work on Zoom. This is our first Zoom meeting on her new computer, and it's worked for Skype and Google.
Yeah,
Meet.
everything else is working, but Zoom just now isn't working. Whatever.
Anyway,
Technical panic. Yeah.
All right.
Nothing,
Well,
nothing like
You can hear us now, though.
we got you now.
Whew.
nothing,
Okay.
nothing like a good panic.
Yeah.
Early in the morning.
You looked frantic. We thought maybe you were like buying and selling stocks or something.
Probably selling.
Selling, yeah. Well, good morning, guys. We have been the last half hour or so, we've been kind of going through the proofs and trying to put notes in the margin on the Adobe document, which I think we all really enjoy that platform. It's really very nice. Anyway, we were not done with that unless you guys, Derek, Tammy, and Mark, you think we were done. I think there might have been a few. We probably could have gone on a little farther with that, but we made a few notes in the margin.
Yeah, I read through them
Okay.
before I got the call. Yeah.
So how would you like to work today? Do you have questions for us or things you want to bring to us, or do you want to kind of go through? Okay, why don't you start then?
Okay. So my biggest concern right now as the project manager is that we're off track a bit on timing.
Kind of a lot.
Kind of a lot, yeah, because we haven't been able to get past the design phase. And so I just wanted to check with you again on timing. Are we up against a hard deadline, or can we be flexible and just relax about it and not stress about it? I'm not sure which one we're on, but if we're up against a hard deadline with the beginning of school, we have to make some decisions really fast here, because the coding phase is going to take 6 to 9 weeks at a minimum. But unfortunately, now we've already moved into where our staff is going on vacation, and we've got one employee who's taking a 5-week trip and is gone. So we're probably looking more at 9 to 12 weeks for the coding because of where it's landing now. And that would bring us to September 15th. And so that we kind of need to get going on building the site. So what is your feedback on that? Like, is there a deadline that we're trying to work against, or are we a little more open and it can change when it needs to?
What do you guys think, team?
So I'm more concerned with getting this right than getting it fast.
Okay, then that's
Well, I'm
can do
only
it
one,
right.
I'm only one person, so let's hear from the rest of the committee.
Tammy?
Okay.
You have a hard deadline?
No.
Derek? Nobody here has a hard deadline, and I think we've been wanting this so long, and we're appreciating the involvement in the process, that we are looking at the end game. And if we determine that the new deadline is the end of September, and we can get something that you love and that you are, proud to put your stamp on and that we love, I think that's wonderful.
That makes me feel much better. Thank you. I just needed to get that clarified because we were starting to hit up to where it was gonna start to get really stressful.
No,
Cool. Okay.
I had told the board that I was going to ask you, and I forgot to add this to the agenda, Matt. I already did. But I had told the board that I was going to ask you for an update. So not that we're going to hold you to an exact date, because everything's fluid. I know our schedules, your schedules. But can I give the board a general idea of when you think, if we get on back on pace, that you think we'd be able to go live?
We need approval of the design in order to move forward into the coding. And with 9 to 12 weeks on coding, like if we were to approve the design today, then we're looking at a September 15th launch. So maybe we could say end of September and be within, a comfortable range there.
So guys, or guys and gals, how about if we, at least for the purpose of the board and setting expectations, we plan for after the winter break? We tell them that when people come back from the January, the December Christmas break, that we'd be live then, maybe sooner, but that would be.
Well, I would turn
outside.
to Cynthia and Ed and say, I mean, you probably don't want this project lingering on too long either, right?
Well, no. But if we have a date that, after winter break and we're able to deliver before, I don't think anyone would be upset by that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to I want to set expectations. I don't want to be going back to the board saying, okay, we're delayed again for whatever reason it may be. That's my only reason for suggesting that we set it out a bit.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, once we get into coding, the ball is really in our court, and there's less need for interaction between this body and us. So we can keep plotting forward, and not have to wait for the next meeting to move things, right?
Yeah. But then at the end, then when we start placing content, obviously we're going to be back working with you closely again on getting all the content in place and so forth. But as far as building the actual infrastructure of the site, there's a phase where Ed and his team just works on that and doesn't really have to be back and forth with you a whole bunch. So we can kind of get it moving forward quickly for that.
Sounds great. So what do you need from us in terms of the approval of the design? Is there a process for that?
Doing this morning, going through the XD, giving us feedback. I need to set up a meeting with Mark to go through the color palette. We need to get that nailed down. We're close, but I think, Mark and I sitting down for 20 minutes is probably going to solve that. The nav structure document, I needed to review that again and approve it, or make change, tell me what the changes needed are on that. And that's kind of where we are. And then I'll make all those adjustments, and then we should be able to get an approval on the design and move it into coding. So
perfect. Let's do it.
Yeah. And also, so we've been talking logos, but the logos really aren't necessary in order for us to be coding. We know we're going to have a horizontal logo in that spot, and whatever we end up coming up with, we're going to place it. And the same with the color palette. Like, if we change the red, or we change the, if we change the colors, that's something that can be adjusted in the code pretty easily. So it's not, it's not a make or break kind of thing for moving forward with it.
Great.
Okay, and then the other topics we wanted to talk on were Mark had sent a mail on the 17th, and he had listed out some notes from your last meeting. Those bullet points, and just go over those really quick.
So, yeah,
Let's start with
at the top. Okay.
document search was the first item, and Derek had used the Laravel package and set up a thing for full text search. So we're not going to both house documents as filed and put it in the database and do full text search within that database. In terms of how well that behaves, we have concerns about it being relatively slow. However, or process intensive on our servers. However, in Google Docs, if you publish your documents as PDFs, they are full text searchable.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Google Drive only searches via
The name.
document name, we can just use the full Google site search, and it will include PDF documents. So you can search by the name, the title, or something within that document to
Right. And
bring it forth.
yeah, and I did a little bit of looking at some other websites for government sites that are using Google Docs and how they're using them, because I just wanted to see. And oh, I don't have the window. And so basically, found that like Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles is using it. Wyoming State is using it. There's a bunch of places, and everywhere that they're using Google Docs as their solution, they are publishing them as PDFs so that they can be full searchable. That's how it's being handled. Because I just wanted to see what some other people were doing, because I figured we couldn't be the only people hitting up against this issue.
Right.
So that's a pretty clean way to solve the issue. And we'd like to propose that we could work a workflow where you work in Google Docs, and then when it's ready to go to the public, you create a PDF of it and place it into a particular Google folder. We'll figure out what the folder structure should be. And so anything in that Google folder, it would be like website, documents. And anything in that would have to be publicly available and a PDF, and then it's fully searchable. Does that sound like a solution that we can work with?
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is that puts search in the hands of Google, and they're better at it than we are.
Yeah.
So, results are likely to be a lot better than we could do trying to use full text search in the database.
So would it work if all the PDFs are published to a top level folder that we'd have a agenda under that, minutes under that, but they would all the PDFs would go into the River Valleys folder, and that folder would be publicly accessible.
Yep.
Bingo.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is
And then
which is more or less the way we're doing it now. So
exactly.
I think there'd be a slight change in that some of our documents get published as not WordPerfect, Word. So we just have to convert those to PDFs, which is mainly the agendas, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after this call, I'll run an experiment. It may be because I know that Google in general indexes Word documents, so it might even be possible that it could still be Word as well. But I don't know for a fact.
We'll check that and see. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, looking at your documents, all of them were PDFs already to begin with. So it didn't seem like it was going to be a huge change. And then, yay, everything becomes searchable, which is the goal. That was what we were trying to get to.
Without having to construct something different than we normally do.
Yeah.
So, question, this might be more for Derek. The current structure is that there's an RVUSD folder under Wyndham Central. Are we gonna have to have a separate account so that we're not searching within West River documents also?
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
So right now, there's a River Valleys folder on the Wyndham Central board. My concern is that if we are going to be doing search, that we're going to be searching within all of those documents, the West River, the Wyndham, the Stratton. So you can, I guess for Cynthia and Ryan, you can limit that to a folder that you're searching within.
A folder and anything below it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything it can.
So basically you just put a folder in the public, whatever directory, and then that's what's gonna get searched. So you're gonna have to duplicate files.
Exactly.
So in essence,
Yeah.
we already have the structure in place.
Mhm.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and there is a way to, in Google Docs, to copy a folder to another location. I'm pretty sure we were doing this with another client.
I don't think it's there. I
where-
don't think it's there anymore. They converted it. They converted it to creating shortcuts.
Ah, okay.
Awesome.
That was lovely because then they could everybody worked within their own space and it just copied over into the website files. But okay.
Yeah, I used to use
All
that.
right. Well, it's still easier than going into logging into the back end, uploading, like it's still most of those. No one's going to have permissions other than their Google Drive permissions, so they already have, and it should be pretty simple to implement that.
But what kind of
Workflow
access do you guys need? Because I think that will determine whether we can give it to you on the Wyndham Central board domain, which is where our documents currently are housed, or whether we need to move them to a RVUSD domain.
I mean, I think permissions are just read write. I don't think there are additional permissions. So it's really about the Google Drive API. And I think if we have read permissions, that's all we need. But I'd have to see if there's anything deeper than that. It's been a while since typically we've just been given full permission on the account that accesses that particular drive, not us personally, but the account that's set up for the individual project. But I suspect that read-only permission would suffice.
Well,
Right?
and
We just need to be in the drive.
yeah, that actually wasn't my concern. I don't care if you have write permission. But my concern is giving you, if we have to give the API permission above the River Valleys folder, that would encompass a lot more.
The API permission belongs to the user account, and then the user account has view permissions on folders. So as long as I have the API permission, and then I'm pointed to the website folder, I wouldn't have permissions to traverse out of that and see other things in the organization.
But if the account that's used for uploading those documents has permissions outside of that folder,
Then I would, but
right.
you wouldn't give those permissions. So I'd be locked. That account would be locked to only the website folder and everything underneath.
Derek, it's been a long time since I've managed permissions on Google Apps. Well, I'm calling it Google Apps. That shows you how long it's been.
Yeah, it sounds right. Like you just, whatever user that the API keys created under, that's the permission they're gonna have.
So we,
right? Is that how it is?
so we create a new account that the API will use, but Meg can continue to use her account to upload documents as long as the API has access to that folder. Correct? Meg being the person who will manage our documents.
Correct.
Yes, that's okay.
Okay. I want to make sure that I understand this so that one, we
Yeah.
can execute it, and two, I can report it back. Anybody
Yeah.
have any questions? I think I understand it now. Derek, you good with this as our guru?
Yeah, whatever you, yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Big
Yay.
topic resolved.
Yeah. All right. So I will email you separately, Mark, about the color palette and setting up a time for us to meet and go over that. That was the
Excellent.
next thing on this list. Okay. The RVUSD logo, you're gonna have the art teacher take a stab. That's great. The Wardsboro logo, I did do an update on that. After this meeting, I'll send you the updates on the Dover and the Wardsboro logos. So you can review those. And then that was all about the document access. Yeah.
So I think the board document access, how do they want to access them? Search, meeting date, category, et cetera. In some ways, that's all mitigated just by how the documents get organized, right? And then with search, because we now know we can do full text search on PDF, kind of feel like it's almost a moot question, but maybe I'm misunderstanding it.
I think we still, and I only briefly looked at at that time, it was just the Drive API for the search. I think we still want users to be able to pull up the documents they need easily in a way that works for them. And that's what we're not clear on yet, because we haven't sent out a survey of what it is what method they want. I think if we're going with the Google Docs for search, we're probably, unless you can predefine searches somehow, or have a pull down calendar where someone can put in a date and then it will search for that date. I don't know if those capabilities are part of the API, or if guys, help me out here. I'm stumbling.
Well, they're not, I mean, Google Drive lets us search by name, right? Google Search will let us search by anything, either name or what's in the document, but not necessarily date.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said,
Organizing by date.
if content on the website is organized in such a way, then date becomes a part of how we can do this. There was a question or a comment on the XD.
I just want to show like some of the ways that I've seen on
You should be able to share your screen.
so this is going to give you a look for just a second. Sorry about that. So like this is Wyoming, and everything is organized by date, and then when you dig into it, oh, that one has an actual. You can dig in and it'll give you an agenda style more like this. This is another section of theirs where they've got these. Now these are Google Drive folders that they set up under the main Google Drive that open and close and have. So if we set up the structure of the folders by date, then we're going to be able to deal with that date component by people driving down based on date. And then the search can handle pretty much anything else that's textual within the document.
then relating back to the comment that was placed on the XD about getting meeting warnings, you know, you can use the blog in this way, right? So what we would do is create a category of meeting warnings, right? And then people can subscribe to a blog category. So when a post is made in that category, they get an email alert, right? And so as long as that blog post then links to the document, we're golden.
But we don't have a way to have that document emailed to them if they subscribe?
No, but what we have is the ability for them to click a link and get to the document.
Right.
Rather than sending an attachment, right? Because we wouldn't have access to, we can link to a Google Drive document, but in order to actually attach it to an email, we would have to have the document, right? So we would have to download it as a PDF and then attach it. This gets, I think, overly complicated.
It's also not best practices to be sending large documents via email. Generally, sending the links is the way that we tend to do that these days, because people dealing with mobile and
Well, the agendas aren't going to be large documents.
No, but like we're almost always sending links to documents instead of actual documents.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm still old school. I want the document. I mean, in general, whomever is sending me anything, I want the document. I don't want to have to go looking for it. But I'm definitely old school. Yeah, that's different.
It's
though.
not like you have to,
What was that?
I mean, it's not like you have to look for it.
No, but I mean, I
Yeah.
also, I maintain every document that's ever sent to me, I still have for the last, 18, 20 years. So I don't,
Order.
I then have to download it. You know what? I actually reference things, believe it or not, I'll go back and reference things.
I think too, there's an issue here of who's doing the work. And if people subscribe to a blog feed, and part of the workflow for Meg, for example, is that she posts as part of her warning, she posts in the blog that the meeting is warned with a link to the documents. If you're subscribed to that blog, then you receive that post and you go seek out which documents you're interested in. If you want to keep them, you download them. But from a procedural perspective, Meg or the person doing the work it's a simple task rather than having either some service or some person maintaining a list, copying or attaching a file to an email, hitting go on that email. Then you're pushing and you're doing the work on your employee's side. Whereas with the blog, you're kind of letting the blog and the technology and the user determine what they want, when they want it, and how to get what they need, rather than having us having to manage all those categories. I'd be worried about our staff being able to keep up with all those details.
I actually see it as the opposite. But I think going the blog route, that's additional work for Meg versus just uploading a document and the system automatically emailing somebody when a new document's uploaded.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So what you're saying is you want, for example, the Google Drive API to, like a notification when a new document is added, to be able to sign up for that notification. Is that what you're describing?
Yeah, I mean, that would be somewhat of a compromise.
To the best of my knowledge, that might not be possible. I don't think there is I'll have to look, but I don't think there's an endpoint where Google will ping us and say, hey, a new document's been uploaded. Right.
I think something might have been added recently, like in the last 2 or 3 months.
But how would we know the context or what the email should say?
Or what school it's associated with, or what?
I think, it sounds like, oh, that would be great. But I think maybe this is a lot more work than it looks like at the surface, right? So let's say, let's just say there's someone who's doing something regarding finance and someone who's regarding sports, right? And they both show up under one of the schools. How are we to know if Google says, hey, there's a new document? How are we to know, A,
I think we're talking about limited documents. We're talking about only board documents, not school documents. And we'd only be talking essentially agendas and minutes.
Right.
Those are the ones that would be subscribed. So it'd only be board level, wouldn't be school level. And they'd be in specific folders. So it would be posted to the minutes folder. So that's one thing. If we do things by date, then is there a way that somebody can click on minutes and get a list of all the minutes from 2022 or 2021, which is kind of the standard way. So that wouldn't have to be in a minutes folder.
So no, you'd have a date folder first, 2022, and then under 2022, you'd have a minutes folder, right? So all 2022 minutes would fall under that minutes folder, and all minutes documents would then fall there. The other way to structure it is 2022, and then have the date of the actual meeting that you're putting all the different pieces together for, and then under that structure have the minutes, but that wouldn't give you minutes for all of 2022. Most of the schools we work with, they've done the year and then minutes as one folder, agendas as one folder, right? Supporting documents as another folder, and everything would be located there under, so that people could access more than one meeting's worth of information.
But even regardless of how you store it, if we go with the blog method, then the person who, you know, prepares the agenda and the minutes, they push those files up to Google Drive, the PDF up to Google Drive. They write a quick blog post, and they can link directly to those two documents that pertain to that particular date's meeting in the post. And when they do that, that gets sent out to everyone who has subscribed.
Yeah, we don't have anybody that can do that reliably. That would be putting too much on central office. Unless somebody disagrees with me, I don't see us being able to require that of the person that does this work in the central office.
So we have other schools where they're doing this, and it literally takes like a couple minutes to do this.
Those might be school districts. We're supervisory union, so our central office manages, you know, five different districts. So we'd be asking them to do something not just drastically different for us, but something that's a lot more time consuming. And I just don't think that, I don't think we're in a position to ask them for that.
What is the current procedure then for getting out these minutes? How do you currently handle this?
They get sent to one person at central office, and she uploads them to the folder.
And
okay,
then
and how do they access from the
email out to everybody?
Nope.
Yeah,
Sorry,
how did
They get uploaded. They get uploaded to the folder, and that's it. The central office website, as awful as it is, has the folder structure for all the different districts. So if you go to wyndhamcentralboard.org and go to boards, you'll see all the way that it's structured right now, and that's what we're looking to drastically improve on, because that we get complaints regularly on that.
So once it's in the folder, you have to actually go to Google Drive. You don't get an email. You don't get, nothing happens. Okay.
Yeah, no, they don't have to go to Google Drive. They go to the website to get the file.
Okay. We're just trying to understand the end goal and how to go about it.
So let me ask you this: if we can go with our plan, if we can go with our plan, but I can get the process for that person under 2 minutes, would that be acceptable? So we come up with some common language that's used for every meeting warning, right? And then literally, automate that.
Yeah.
So it's a blog post still, but I'll make it so it's a single-click blog post. We dump some standard text in there, and all they have to do is drop the links and hit publish.
I've got my feelings on that, but Matt,
let me just add, because you guys have been talking a lot. We haven't heard from Derek or Tammy much on this. Derek, Tammy, do you guys want to weigh in?
I think what Marcus really wants is something that's just custom, and it doesn't sound like Google Drive's gonna do it. It just, like what I envision is like you're gonna have storage, whatever, Amazon or whatever. You upload the PDF. There's a whole process to it. It does whatever you want. It parses it, puts it into text. It's saved on a third-party cache somewhere, and then which makes it searchable. And then you can do whatever you want with it, like what Mark wants to do. Like say organize, because then you're also gonna insert whatever names and whatever tags you want into the database for that file. And then Mark, like what Mark wants, you can just search by whatever.
We're not databasing files. You know, that's not
No,
how.
you wouldn't.
document-
You wouldn't be. You'd
Okay,
be.
and it also we're not implementing AWS either. We're not an Amazon shop. We don't have experience with AWS. You know, this is what we proposed was Google Drive. What we thought was acceptable was Google Drive. And I understand we want to make this, you know, as auto magic as possible. And I do too, right? But like you're saying, Derek, Google Drive isn't going to give us the endpoint. You know, it's not going to pay to let us know that something's been uploaded.
Right.
This is going to be a human process to get that warning out. And whether or not I think we can do things to make it pretty frictionless. But talking about doing this all automatically, we're going to have to keep that December date. And we're going to have to revisit what it is for us for scope of work, because that was just nowhere on the radar. And I'm a little panicked about it because we are short-staffed for the next 40 days.
Well, let me interject here. Just first, I'd like to just add a couple of comments to the discussion. One is Google does have notifications for when a document changes. You can sign up to receive notifications, say when somebody changes a spreadsheet or a doc or adds a note to it. Those things are built into the Google Docs functionality, but they do require a Gmail account and some connection with that doc folder. I have not seen any way to do a sign up for a notification to change of the contents of a Drive folder, which is what we're talking about here. Although there is some ability, I've recently read about something in, I can't remember it was part of Google Drive, Google Suite, something where if you were part of an organization, you could sign up for changes to a Drive folder, but that would require somebody to be in the organization. That's not going to work for us. So we need the public to do it. So the other thing I want to add is it's going to be really hard for us to design this by committee because everybody approaches documents differently. Like Mark, you and I, we approach documents differently from lots of other people. So I think we may have to come to a compromise, especially given the fact that this functionality was not within the scope necessarily of the bid or the spec for the bid. So these are just some things that are running through my head as I listen. I think that if we're going to limit to Google Drive, which is what we've articulated in our RFP and what we accepted in the proposal, then we have to be limited to Google Drive or revisit the concept, like Ed said. And if we have to go bigger, then we may have to, step back and rescope this thing and rebid it and all of that. I really, honestly, I just don't know how big the problem is. I know we've got a problem with naming. We've got a problem with storage. People complain about, when they're trying to find documents. Can we solve those problems within the scope of what we have, or are we delusional? I don't know the answer to that.
Could I interject just something
Please,
here? So
please.
usually what we do with clients is if we have a proposal and we have a solution that's, you know, and then something comes up in the discovery process that is outside the scope but, you know, we try to determine whether can we get the site to launch based off of what was proposed, and then write an addendum and implement that extra piece after the fact. So we have all the tools to implement it with Google Drive currently. We could launch the site, get it in place, and then look at how much it would cost to do this additional piece. And could this additional piece be done through the website, or does it have to be done like on your end in some way through a third party service, right? So that would be one way to go about it, is to just continue with the process, get at least the website up, and then and work with what we have and see if the solution that we can actually create with what we've got on hand here gives you enough, and in actuality it's not that hard to work with, or okay, no, really this is a problem, so now look at what needs to happen next to improve upon the process further, because I think no matter what we're suggesting is going to be an improvement over where you are currently.
That's what I was about to say, which is that bringing the ability for anyone to get the documents from an RVUSD website itself is going to be a huge improvement. Just listening to the conversation and saying quite a few words myself, I think that I'd suggest that we move forward with this as a potential after launch project, that we would probably want to get some more information from you guys on, pricing, etc. And then we can, if it is feasible, we can take it back to the board and say, okay, do you want to spend this additional money to move forward?
Yeah, and so before it actually, I'll look into this deeper. Okay, Adam on it with me.
Yeah.
We'll look into this deeper. My experience with Google Drive so far is like, with this idea of meeting warnings based on Drive documents, it's like, sirens and red lights. No, this is. But maybe there is something that I'm unaware of just yet. So we'll do a little digging, because, just in case it makes more sense to actually just do it, if it's possible. But I don't think it is, but we'll look.
Okay. Tammy and Derek, can we hear from you guys on that? It sounds like Mark is saying, let's go ahead and design this thing in the scope that we agreed with the vendor on. And if we need to make changes, we'll address those after the design is complete and we have a chance to look at it. Tammy, Derek?
It sounds like forward motion to me, which is a big relief.
Thank you,
I
Tammy.
completely agree. I think this is a great plan.
I am 100% on board. I think there's always going to be, things that we can tweak and try to do better. And then we're going to bump into the limits of the platform. And unfortunately, Google is lovely in many ways, and it's maddening in many others. So I think this is the best way forward. Stick with the scope that we planned, that we agreed on, that we signed a contract with you on, and let you guys go to work and build this thing and make it awesome.
Yeah, I just did a quick search on the various aspects I'd be looking for, and everything that came up was Office 365, which we are not. So
right.
Clearly Microsoft is ahead of the game. Google not only limits the features they give us, they tend to take them away over time.
So are you guys good?
Definitely fair.
Ed, Cynthia, are you guys good with that as a moving forward point? Okay.
That allows us to keep forward, which is what we're hoping to do. So
Well, design approval will allow us to move into code, into actual code. So I don't know when.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
think that if we could we aim to have another meeting within 2 weeks, or in 2 weeks, and try to, between the review link feedback and me making changes and letting you know when it's ready for you to take another look, try to get to the point where we've got approval on the design, the color palette, and the nav structure. Because if we can get those in the next 2 weeks, that would be fantastic. I think we're close.
So I don't want to speak for Matt and Tammy, but they're off. I was going to say off the wall. They're July is their free month. So no,
Okay.
we're not going to be able to. But what I'd really like to do is go through the comments that we made on the Adobe site now with you all. And
Yep.
I think again, speaking for myself, I'm thinking that with that, we may be able to sign off on the design approval. So let's do that. I think there were maybe 3 or 4 more in addition to the ones that we've spoken about.
Yeah, they weren't bad. I was looking at them and not feeling daunted by any of them. So let me share my screen again. Except that it's too big. It's sitting there. Okay.
I think we all have it up anyway, Cynthia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
You don't need to share your screen,
Okay.
or you can.
All right.
Of
So
course you can.
yeah. Okay. All right. Let me share. I'm going from an angle. Okay. So I'm going from here. So there was no comments there. Let's see. So I was trying to get to the ones where there are comments.
I think 7, slide
Yeah.
7 was the first one.
So looking at here, I'm gonna slide at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one, the contact us. Oh, down here. Okay. Yes, I'll get the. No comments on that one. So.
What's the title of the one that has comments?
Header.
So you have at the when you open one up, if you just open up any of the slides,
Okay.
at the bottom you have an arrow. You can go right and left. Just to scroll through them.
In the center.
Yeah. Then it should just pop up when you hit one. That's interesting. None of the comments are showing up.
Yeah, I don't see the comments. I see them on my screen,
They
but I
were-
don't see them on yours. There's Maddie.
Hold on. Let me see.
Perhaps one of you would like to share your
Yes,
screen.
yes. How about that?
I was about to say, Matt, you want to share your screen? I can't. I don't have it on this computer.
I would be glad to.
Thank you.
Share screen. Let's see.
Oh,
How about that?
How they show? What the hell?
All right.
That
Do you
was
see
weird.
my screen?
I
Yes.
do.
Okay. So
Awesome.
I'm looking at slide 1 of 26, River Valley's sort of the header district home. Does everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. And on the right hand side, we've got, you don't need to see my whole screen, right? But header district menu open -1.
Yep.
Is the first comment. So it just says we're wondering about the font size. It looks a little small on our screens, but wondered if that might just be an XD problem and then Derek noticed
It is.
top right corner up here, there's a percentage view indicator that we could change. So that was
Yes, there is.
much better. But Mark made a point just about size and if it might be small for somebody who was visually impaired, but we couldn't really tell from our perspective.
I don't think you're going to have trouble with the size. I've tried to make sure that the size that I used on this is large enough to be comfortable. And so if you do look at it at the 100% of size, I think you'll find that it's pretty decently sized.
Matt, you want to just go to slide 8?
Sure. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Are you there?
That's perfect. So it was just the text in the kind of the drop down menu. And again, once Derek pointed out that we could zoom or in or out, we weren't sure whether the problem existed or not. And if you're saying it doesn't exist, then I think we can move on.
No, I think you're gonna be fine. It's like 24 point size,
Oh,
which
that
is
should
quite
be,
large.
yeah, that should be plenty big.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next thing is also on this slide, number 8 of 26, and there was a comment from Mark, just double checking that the menu highlight will flow and won't appear as a separate box. And we weren't sure if that was just a mock-up thing, but did I articulate the
you'd
question?
Yeah, but we'd like it to match. I think we'd like it to match, right, Matt?
I think
Tammy?
this does, I think this does match to my.
Yeah, I was assuming that it just looked like a separate box only because you actually created this in a graphics application rather than website design.
Okay, so let me explain. In order to get the carrot for the school choice, so that I can have a drop down there, and also not have to add additional space between every single one of these header items, so that because if I, at the top where it says about RVUSD, if I extend that box over, then it's going to overlap like board or our schools or information, right? Otherwise, I have to put a white gap in order for that to, and I need that extra space on the bottom in order to put the down arrow in order to open that section below.
That box could be left aligned though with the.
It could be left aligned. We could do that instead. Yeah, let's
So,
do that. Okay.
I'm
We
not.
can solve.
I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking at just the area that is around about RVUSD. It just looks like that was a separate box created in Photoshop. And I was assuming because it's a mock-up that was the case.
No, this is what it will look like when someone clicks the About RVUSD menu to then open it. So this is an open menu. So normally About RVUSD would appear just like board or our schools or information, right? But now I clicked to expand that menu. I've clicked the what would be the blue caret above that doesn't exist because we've clicked it.
Right.
Do you see the thing? So if instead I had clicked board, then About RVUSD would look like all the other links, but board would have that dark blue or background with its submenu popped open.
Yeah, I think I'm being probably very unclear about what I mean.
So
Let's start with the concept of this was a mock-up and not a website design. So you graphically created this. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you just look at the area around about RVUSD, which we asked you to highlight that, so that's perfect. That's what we asked for. That area just looks like it was a separate box that was created in Photoshop, put there to show us what it would look like.
Is that bad? I think that too.
Get an XD. Yep.
Okay, so that what all we were asking was to make sure that, because right now it looks like it's not that it's a bump in the box, but that it looks like it was created separate from the sub menu, that when you actually create the code for the website, that it's going to flow right in and it's not going to look like a separate box.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. And that can be, if we just left align the left side of the bottom box, with the top of the, with the left side of the button, it will look more like one cohesive unit, not two bumps.
It won't be created with two chunks. Like
okay,
right now,
I think this really comes down to, this was just graphically created and not by code. I don't think it's going to be an issue once you're actually coding it.
So right now it looks like this, where there's that extra bump on the side. but we could make it look like this, where it's just straight on that side. If that's what you're at, if that's what you're looking for.
I leave that up to everybody else. I'm fine with it being a separate, not separate, but being a bump that clearly identifies it as the subject of the drop-down menu. I actually think that, well, what do you all think?
Since I'm unmuted, I'll talk. I think it's a design element, and I think it's consistent with the district home and the other tabs. And I think having the colors be all the same brings that sub-menu forward. And I think they made a distinct decision to align the text left, which is important. And I like it. I like it the way it is, personally.
I see Derek shaking his head. Tammy?
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty standard. It looks fine.
I think it looks fine, but I wonder if all of the text should be left aligned so that nutritional services, health services, and then the asbestos could all be underneath technology.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it would be a long menu versus a horizontal.
That causes issues too.
Well, it
It
can,
can.
Just an
Yeah.
idea.
it can, like on tablets.
Yeah.
We like to make use of the horizontal space if we have it.
Any other comments
I mean,
on that one? All right, we're at 10:30, so I'm going to move on to the next item.
Okay.
The next item is on header-Wardsboro-1, which I think is this one. Is that right, guys? Page 10?
This was the
And-
color one? Yeah.
Yeah, it just says, this is me, actually. I said, I like the way that you've integrated the maroon in the background of the drop down here, the way you did the blue. I love it, frankly. My only question was, this looks a little lighter to my eyeball than the logo. And I didn't know if this is the same and it's just an optical illusion, but my brain is wanting this to be a little darker.
Optical, but I will check the hex code and be sure.
Okay, that's all. That was my only
Yeah.
comment. The next page is the RVUSD Board of Directors. And that is, which one was that one, guys?
It's good. It's
19.
19.
Yeah.
Okay, and what did I write here? Oh, Mark, this is Mark. He says, please remove all the links to social media
Oh,
except what we'll be
Yep.
doing on the school club pages. So
Yeah.
the bottom. The
that
step-
wasn't that wasn't specifically about this page as much as in general and the footer.
Yeah, the whole site.
Yeah.
All the sites. I mean, all
Oh.
three. Yeah. We discussed it with the board. We're going to do a school club page at the school level that will have a disclaimer and link out to whatever the flavor of the social media is that they're working with. Cool. All right, moving on. Any questions about that?
No, that's easy.
Okay, the next one is on the four families page, which is number 22, I
22.
believe. We like the file cabinets. Derek especially liked the file cabinets. No, the question was wondering if the four families page, if this makes sense from a design perspective to have them separated into three parts, one that had district things and then one for each school, with the idea being that we were trying to avoid having school specific items on the district page. Does that make sense?
Okay, wait.
So within the categories,
Yeah, we're just wondering if this, see how you have the four families, maybe a category of district, Wardsboro, Dover, or something, some way to organize the material by who might be browsing. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I'm articulating this very well.
Yeah, you're able to actually do that yourself, but we can do it to start with for sure. But those categories are not limited to just the 6 that are there, and they can be whatever you want. You're going to have editing permissions to make them whatever you actually want on that page. So we can start it out with district and then Wardsboro and Dover across the top, and then it can be whatever else you want for categories.
these quick link groups.
Yeah, quickly groups.
So-
Yep.
if I can just say this came up because we want to make sure for the district-wide, our documents are the same for both schools, but each school has like their own handbook. So we want to make sure that one, that stuff's available on the school page, but that if somebody is here and they click on handbook and they get Dover's, but they want Wardsboro, they know what they're getting. So I think that was sort of, that was why the concern was raised, and then the idea of separating them out so that somebody would just be pulling up, in the document section below, they would just be pulling up what, if they're pulling up the documents for the district, they only can get district documents. If they're pulling up Wardsboro, they'll get those.
So
Matt,
the doc section is Google Docs, and so that's a matter of organizing it in Google Docs in the structure, in the way that we want it set up. So we can definitely do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that we could have 3 categories there and have one be the district and one for each school, and then a list of the documents below. Some of them will be the same, but generally that'll be really nice, I think. All right, any other comments on that or questions? You guys good? All right, the last thing we already talked about, and that is the notifications. And so that was all we had. That was all we had, I think, guys, right?
yeah,
Cool, let's build this thing, shall we?
Yeah. All right.
Is that design approval?
Do you want me to update the mock-up, and then you can review those and then give me design approval via email once you see the changes that you've just requested in place?
Team, do we feel like we need that, or can we trust them to make these changes and go? What do you guys think?
I think these changes are pretty clear cut. Yeah.
Good.
And just for Ed and Cynthia, because I don't want Matt and Tammy to be bothered at all during their month off. Just communicate with me with any questions. And if it's something that we have to delay for some reason until they're back, we will, but they deserve a real vacation.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Okay. That sounds fair. All right.
Yeah.
I
How do
will
you
do that. So approval forward and start coding.
I think if you want it in writing, I am happy to respond to you in email so you have it in writing. Or I can make a
Perfect.
comment in this XD if you think that's sufficient.
We'll do it. We'll send you a quick email. That way it's,
All
It'll
right.
be held
and then
for end too.
we'll save that document Mark style.
Mark,
Thank you.
I like it.
All
right.
Quickly before we end, Cynthia, did you have any more questions on the navigation document? I saw there was some yellow left on there.
Some yellow. Yeah, we should probably look at it real quick. Okay, we were talking about Google Docs, and that's okay. We're missing content. That's just content. And oh, this is all content so far. There are not RVUSD newsletters. It's just at the school level, right? The newsletter.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. So
Well, actually, Dover doesn't really have a newsletter.
Yeah, we do the IB newsletter.
Oh, you do? Right. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
okay. All right. The continuous improvement plan is just for Dover, correct?
No, there's one for
Or
both
is it-
schools.
One for both. Okay.
And those should be linked from the district level.
Okay.
Federal compliance.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And it has to be not necessarily updated, but reviewed annually.
Yeah.
Okay. The program of inquiry standards page, you were wondering whether we were going to be adding that to Dover Elementary.
Yes.
Are we adding it? Yes. Okay. And that we have the answer on. The focus area is going to be STEAM. We're going to have to talk STEAM content, but that's content. That's fine. We'll have a page. That's been answered. Okay. And that's STEAM. Oh, student parent handbook. We can be consistent about that naming and name them both the same on both schools.
Yes, please.
Just name it student handbook or student parent handbook.
What do you think, Tammy?
How about just handbook?
Handbook's fine.
That's clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of them.
Yep. Good. All right. And then preschool. They both need a preschool page, correct?
Yes.
I have a link on Wardsboro, so I'll need to eventually get content for that, but
It really is, I think, just linked back to the WCSU pre-K info. So it's probably pretty consistent at both schools.
we
Where
couldn't.
your audio is really bad.
So sorry, Tammy. You said it just links to, and then I got garbled.
I believe it links to the WCSU pre-K page.
Matt, does Dover's go there?
I don't recall, but I think we're probably going to want a pre-K page for each school with some photos and some marketing.
I think
Because
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
even if there is
Yeah.
a WCSU one, I think we're going to want something probably a little bit more with some more content, because the programs are really kind of special and different. And I think it would be a nice opportunity to market them, even with just a landing page and a couple photos, a little information about the programs, because they are a little different.
Okay, that sounds good. I like that idea. Okay, that was all of my questions on the navigation. So I think we're good on that too.
Today's the day.
All right,
It's
guys.
good.
Hey, I've got another thing up in Brattleboro that I'm trying to scoot out for. Are we good?
We're
I'm
the best we've been.
I'm good with you signing off on both of those aspects of the project.
Okay, so when I get the email from Edgeworks, guys, I will respond and I will CC all of you just so you're in the loop. And we'll set this rocket off into space.
Awesome.
Light this candle.
Okay,
Great.
sounds good. All right, and I'll email you separately, Mark, for timing on the color palette.
Color
Sounds
palette,
good.
right? All right, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Committee, if you want to stay on, we can just hit the last bit of our agenda and adjourn it. Do we have any new business today?
Nope.
Awesome, great work. By the way, this was tough work. Thank you for slogging through it. Any other items or future agenda items that people want to throw out here? It's something I added this time because I feel like sometimes I forget what we want to put on our agenda for the next meeting. And I know we do this with the board. It makes total sense.
We have to do something about a tagline.
Oh yeah,
Um,
tagline. Yeah.
I can get together with Chad and try to put up. I really liked where was it? Just quickly. Nope. Yep. Here. I'm assuming this was yours, Matt. World-class education, Vermont values.
I don't know if it was originally mine. It might have originally been Bill's. It was one he and I were kicking around, and I can't remember if it was his brainchild or mine, but
I love it. I loved it when or a form of it when I saw Rory Tebow's I was about to say Surgeon General, Attorney General campaign for the state. By the way, vote for him. He's pro-education. He's pro-education. He worked with the coalition. He's a school board member and he's a chair in Cabot. He's really pro-education. So vote for him.
nice.
But that's besides the point. I love it. That of all the ones that we've talked about, that's the direction I would go personally.
Well, we can include a couple of them as samples if we want in the survey. Maybe it'll inspire somebody to think of something as well. And who knows, maybe people will choose that. That's
I
fine.
don't think we need a survey anymore unless we want to do one for a tagline.
You already have. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, and I don't think we want to do one just for a tagline.
Yeah.
So Chad and I and Derek will work well next month, come up with maybe 2 or 3, bring it to you guys. We'll make a decision whether or not to take those to the board, and go down that road.
That sounds great. I appreciate, Mark, your advocacy for our time in July. Really sincerely appreciate that.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
You really, really deserve it. Everybody needs time off, and you guys don't. The last 2 years, you haven't had time off.
Yeah, it's definitely been a marathon for sure.
Yeah. So enjoy.
All right. Next meeting date, do you want to set it now, or do you want to wait until, say, the end of July, early August to get back together and find a time?
I'd like to get together before the board meets for the retreat,
Okay.
because I think we can finalize maybe the tagline, maybe a couple other things. So first week in August.
That's the 8th. The board retreat is on the 8th, right?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
hate to make you guys jump right back into it in August, but if we can set up a meeting.
So Tuesday, the 2nd through the 4th is the VPA Leadership Academy this year up in Killington. I don't know that I'm going to make it to that. So I probably will be around on the 4th if need be. Tammy, you around?
Should be around.
You should be around. Are you doing VPA this year?
I don't know yet.
Yeah, I wanted to go, but
You want to, in case you guys do go, want to just do Friday morning, the 5th?
I
that
might
would
not
work.
be around.
You're
was
not
that,
here.
Derek?
I might not be around on the 5th.
How about 4th and a half?
Midnight. Midnight on the 5th, right? Let's
The
see.
8th through the 10th, I'm gone.
8th to the 10th, you're gone. Well, the 8th is a thing. So it sounds sort of like, well, if we did VPA, Tammy, it's over by noon on Thursday. Do you want to try to do an afternoon on Thursday instead of morning? Like a 2?
I'm in meetings from 12 to 4,
Ah, okay.
so it would have to be 4 or later.
You would just want to plan for the 5th, and 'cause I don't have like a definite plan, but there might be a hockey tournament that we might be in.
That's fine. You
Well-
just roll the dice on the 5th, whether or not we'll have you.
Yeah, and Derek will just send you, I mean, you'll see the agenda ahead of time. And I'll communicate with you during the month for, the tagline, get your thoughts, so. And I think that's gonna be the main topic that we talk about then, so. So 9 o'clock on the 5th,
Let's do it.
okay? I'll send that out.
All right.
Thank you all, Matt and Tammy, enjoy
Thank
your time off.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great month. And anybody care to make that favorite motion?
As a rule, I don't, so.
Well, I can't, so
You certainly could. We don't technically need one.
Derek looks ready. That's right. So we're a small board, right? All right, well, let's adjourn this meeting at 10:48 and then we'll
Just
see
hit
you
that,
guys
hit
later.
that little red box on the right that says end, and that's the adjournment.
All right, guys, take care.
Bye all.
But